It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM LP Philadelphia. Really excited to be here today with you. Each and every Monday at 2 p.m. we do this thing live on 106.5. If you're in Philly and if you're riding around in your car, or maybe you're sitting in the house and you just want that career, culture, and community information that we deliver better than anyone else in the world, you found the right place. If you're streaming online, I really appreciate you for making that extra effort to tune in to the Kenneth L. Johnson Show. And for all my people on LinkedIn, thank you. Keep the comments coming. This is the work we do. I love it, and I love hearing from you. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about what's going to happen today. This is going to be a pretty interesting show because last week I had mentioned that I wanted to have someone on the show this week to speak a little bit about workforce and to talk a little bit about what people that are working in workforce are doing to alleviate some of these challenges that are a result of this lackluster jobs report. As I mentioned, I don't know, 70,000 plus jobs created last month, an all-time low since, I don't know, not an all-time low, but in recent generations, of course, yeah, I think it hasn't been this low since 1979. And when it was this low, it was 2020, and that was the pandemic year. So with that being said, it's pretty bad out here, and I really want to know how people are navigating that space, people that are designed to help the marginalized and just people that are really challenged in their job search advance and get opportunities, and that would be workforce development professionals. So we will have Jamaine Jackson on the show today to talk a little bit about what's happening in workforce, not only here in Philadelphia, because believe me, he's leading the race here in Philly. This guy is out here making moves and putting people together. I recently did a professional development workshop where he had individuals from a variety of different workforce development agencies here in the city together. We got together at Suburban Station and just talked about how we can do a better job working together. And that was a great opportunity. But Jamaine put that together. I just came and delivered a little talk about how I thought that those individuals may want to take the road of professional recruiters in the way they're interacting and networking with their clients. And I don't mean the candidates, but I mean the people that are actually doing the hiring. So with that being said, I'm excited to have Jamaine here today. I'll self-disclose. It's a personal relationship with Jamaine. I consider him a friend. We've worked together under the Urban League umbrella. So with that being said, Jamaine and I, when I tell you we were running around the city helping people get jobs, we've done job programming in Germantown, Mount Airy. We've done it in South Philly at the library on Broad Street. We worked Parkside. We've done West Philly Children's Hospital, helping people and helping support that neighborhood with job search off of Callow Hill, Northern Liberties, I guess that's what they're calling it now. We've done it over there, really supporting North Philadelphia though. But we've been around the city helping people get connected with employment opportunities. So I know that he's as real as it gets when it comes to this work. I love connecting and staying in touch with people like that. So immediately when I had this opportunity to talk about this on this platform, no one else was going to be here and do this work with me and have this conversation with me other than Jamaine Jackson. So I'm excited to introduce him to our audience here on the Kenneth L. Johnson Show on WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5. Listen, if you want to lock in with us, please don't hesitate to give us a call. The studio line, 215-923-WPPM. Once again, 215-923-9776. If you're just listening online at phillycam.org, that's great. And also, you can hit us up on social media at WPPM FM. Listen, if you want to stay connected to the work that I'm doing, of course, you know I do this work through East Coast Executives, your premier executive search firm with a focus on professional, diverse talent. So with that being said, you can lock in with us here, or you can check us out. We do this. We place these shows on our YouTube channel. Please lock in, subscribe, and stay with us. We're looking to grow this network. We do say that the Kenneth L. Johnson Show is all about career, culture, and community. And with that being said, we want to bring part of our community to you. Jamaine Jackson, welcome to the show, sir.
It's going good. What's going on, Ken? How are you?
Man, you know I'm excited to have you here. That's how I am right now.
Appreciative.
So listen, this thing right here is getting a little crazy. I had spoken about the jobs report, and with that being said, uh, I'm really getting concerned out here, man. I don't know what's happening. I'm not really sure where this thing is going, but I know that we are in a lull. We are in a serious lull right now as far as jobs are concerned. They say that the most recent jobs report is the worst since the 70s. I know you're working in workforce. Does that concern you? Are you feeling that? But first, before we even get into that, see, I that was wrong of me. Tell the people about yourself. Who is Jamaine Jackson? What is it that you do? And let's get started.
No, absolutely. I'm actually excited about the question myself. And thank you again publicly for having me on. This is a great opportunity. So my name is Jamaine Jackson. I'm the workforce. I kind of consider myself a workforce guru. Been in the game for about 20 plus years. But I'm a one-stop operator director. So as a consultant, every state has a one-stop operator, or every city has a one-stop operator to kind of oversee their business partnerships with their American Job Centers, or career links that we call it in Philly and in Pennsylvania. So as that one-stop operator overseeing, and Philadelphia is a little unique with the city because there's 4 different centers ran by 4 different agencies. So because of that, Philadelphia Works, who I'm contracted through, is the Philadelphia Workforce Board that I consult for. And with that role, basically, I'm working with all the business partners and those delivery service of operation for all the centers, for those 4 centers, which is in Philadelphia, our North site, our South Philly site. I'm sorry, not South Philly, but our Suburban Station site, which is in Center City, our Northwest site, which is in Germantown, and then also our West site that's at 39th and Market. So 4 centers, 4 different agencies that maintain that, and then over 50 to 100, business partnerships or workforce partnerships that we have in the city. But like Ken said, I also 20 plus years in. I first started out at Job Corps, so I was 10 years at Job Corps. Worked for Job Corps through both entities, and then also at the Urban League. Worked for the Urban League for a few years, and then from there, Jeb's Human Services prior to this current role with TPMA, which is Thomas P. Miller and Associates, national consulting firm out of Indianapolis.
Man, you do this work so effortlessly, it seems to me. And I forgot about the Job Corps component. I've heard some things about like the dismantling of Job Corps. Am I hearing that correct?
No, absolutely.
I don't want you to speak on their behalf, but what's happening over there?
It was just, Department of Labor, DOL is I would say about 75-80% of the funding for the Job Corps centers, although they have other funding from the state and federal level. But however, just due to some investigations and different things from all the centers as a whole, from the operating agencies, because they're set up just the same way how Career Links are set up, but they have different agencies managing those. So the two organizations that I used to work for, Management and Training Corporation and Adams and Associates, who actually manages the one in South Philadelphia, it really hit more of the residential centers than it hit the non-residential centers, because Philadelphia is one of the only non-residential centers. A lot of people don't know that, where they go home every day.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense to me. Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
So yeah, based on that, just kind of like one of those things where the leverage was like, okay, well, these things are happening and it's not happening in a positive aspect. So the Department of Labor is looking at, okay, well, we're retracting some of this funding because of the infractions and things that they actually found. So, and it's a public document on it at this point.
It's really interesting. I always see you as a person out here doing the work, without even looking for any accolades, but just really out helping people. And I know a conversation we've had in the past, you've kind of been of the belief that even more could be done if workforce wasn't so siloed. And I'm not just talking about here in Philadelphia, but just in general, workforce being siloed, meaning people are doing something over here and someone's doing something over here, but we got a candidate that's working with both agencies and or organizations. And maybe there's some duplications in services. Maybe there's some networking that could take place that will allow for a smoother transition for this person. Tell me big picture, what's happening?
I mean, I think just that. I mean, I think funding controls the narrative of how a lot of these organizations run. Um, and with that being said, of course, everyone has their own restrictions and policies and all of these things. But workforce is exactly what it was made up of. Workforce is a creative population of innovative companies and organizations brought together for the same goal, and that's measurable gains. That's for individuals coming in from one capacity and actually gaining something out of it, a skill or a trade or education, whatever it is, and bringing those things together. So I think the bigger picture is just that organizations, kind of like television, have not figured out how to work together. Right, you have different broadcasts that have different, elements of that. So if you kind of compare those
different agendas,
and everything. So I think all of that are some of the reasons why the organizations as a whole, because the frontline individuals, the workers, they want to come together, for the better of the customer or member. But the higher ups, of course, have different alignments. So.
Well, let's talk about it. It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show on WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We are here today with Jamaine Jackson. Listen, Jamaine, I want to talk about this. I have some questions for you because I knew you were coming through. So I said, let me set this up right. So with the job market showing signs of a serious slowdown, right? How are you or organizations in general helping job seekers future-proof their careers, especially those from marginalized communities?
So I think the biggest thing, and it's actually funny, being again 20 plus years in this industry, and have worked with I've worked with most of all the organizations that I was brought up in, when I started and worked for. So one of the past situations Ken mentioned, before, working with Urban League. So recently, I was just on a panel with Urban League, working with our interns, their interns that they were working with all across the country. They had different people work at different universities and internships, right? It was about 105 students in the room. And one of the things that we came to the realization, like, I believe the biggest thing in this is actually getting away from applying for the jobs anymore. Right? Like,
talk to me.
That process is what it is. And, everybody gets on Indeed or, even LinkedIn or, whatever else. Right. But I can't even use LinkedIn as an example, but just saying some of those, like, capacity driven,
career seekers, monsters. Yeah. All right.
I forgot about monsters,
but a lot of people have.
But for the most part, if you think about that, I think the biggest thing is, community engagement. Like, we have to be more creative and actually, and one of the young ladies that was on the panel, she actually works for the city, and she's 25 years old, and she gave the example that she hasn't done an interview in 25 years.
What are you talking about? Like, how's she getting jobs?
Never did it. So the reality of it is informal interviewing, right? It's about the conversation.
I got you.
So she's placed herself in the room with good situations and opportunities that actually landed her opportunities. And one of the examples that she gave, she said she ran into somebody, and someone else that knew her ran into someone and said, "Hey, what is she doing now? She's probably doing something in politics, because that's what she did."
Sure.
She was volunteering a lot. Well, that person ended up calling her, and guess what office she's working out of now?
Yeah, that one.
Mayor Parker.
Wow, nice. Well, they say that's how it works. They say your second and third tier network will be the ones that get you opportunities. So meaning that you'll meet somebody, but then they'll know someone who has the link, and oftentimes, that referral, that reference, a personal one, is the thing that gets you into the opportunity. Now, I suggest that once you get into it, you don't embarrass anyone. You show and prove. But the point is, just like Lisa Rangel, who we had on last week, she said networking is the thing. She's doubling down on people right now. As you navigate the workforce space, what are you doubling down on? What's the focus for you?
It's the opportunity of placement. So again, being in the right room, being in the right area, the right environment, right? Like, when people go out, they say, we outside, right? So if you network outside accordingly, then you'll actually be in a different space, what's actually going to place you in a better opportunity.
Yeah.
So a lot of times just being around people that are relative to, Eventbrite should be one of your best friends, to be realistic, right?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Leveraging that as a
Leveraging.
networking resource to
Exactly.
get outside.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people say they're outside, Jay, but they're really
They're
not
really not
outside.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the social media that's putting
It's
them
the
outside,
social
right?
media that's putting them
But
outside.
let's make outside be LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
Now you're inside but outside,
Outside.
and you being outside is actually going to give you prevail more
You,
opportunity.
you know what blows my mind sometimes when I'm speaking to people, when I go out to places and speak to career seekers, whether it's in Philly or Harlem or wherever we're doing it at the National Urban League. We were just in Cleveland having some of these conversations, doing LinkedIn reviews and career coaching. People will say, "Oh, I don't know that person. I don't know if I should reach out and connect with them." That's exactly why you should reach
Yes.
out and connect with them. And I say that typically a person that's on the platform is there to network.
Mhm.
So they don't mind you reaching out. Now, I don't suggest you reach out with an automatic ask. Hey, can you help me get a job? People do that to me, but I'm a recruiter, so I think that's expected. But if it's a manager or director or someone that's working at an organization, that might not be the way to go. Um, as you navigate this space and you speak about some different things in workforce, what is what's the one practice in workforce development that you believe may be getting a little outdated or that people may need to kind of lean away from? And I know that's a tough question.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of times, I, well, right now AI is taking over, right?
Yes.
Let's be realistic. Half of the people aren't even AI is doing resumes, it's doing proposals, it's doing whatever, right? Um, but AI still, unless you pay for it, is not going to give you the humanized creativity that you need.
Okay.
So I think one of the things one of the bigger things I believe that is outdated is just the way we do things. Like it's not about applying and then waiting for someone to get back to you
Mm.
anymore, right? Like it's you can apply for 100 different jobs. Like it's almost like throwing it up in the wall, see what sticks, right? Um, that piece is getting outdated. I mean, it's just has to be more of the network. Like you have to, and this is for I don't care what type of person you are, introvert, extrovert, whichever type of person you are, there's a way to navigate on both ends. Whether you are messaging, a lot of people are texters, a lot of people shoot emails, things like that. But it's you still have to get to know who you're actually reaching to.
I worked in staffing and I worked for a company and I think it was probably Spherion. And they taught me this thing called the Boston Matrix. Now I was in business development, so I was out actually selling the services of the firm to companies that were looking for temporary and contingent employees, right? So it's different. But when I started doing some coaching and things of that nature, and it was about finding jobs, I started teaching my candidates the Boston Matrix approach. And really, we broke things into quadrants, right? So let's just say it's Philly, right? So I would break the job search into, all right, Center City West, right? I'm going to hit all the companies there, Center City East, then maybe Montgomery County, right? And then maybe South Jersey. And those would be the four quadrants. And I would just break that down. And then I would rotate with four different actions, right? Apply to a job, send an email to an individual or try to connect with an individual. And this is those could be A and B, either one. You can change that. But also your follow up back then, listen, we were stopping by offices. So pay the office a visit, and then you're making your phone call as well in there, right? So it was a quadrant. So typically it didn't work like however you felt comfortable managing and mapping that out. That's how we worked it. But I think the point is you had to have a plan. Oftentimes I think people just apply to a job and they don't have a plan on getting the job or securing the job, and that's what I hear you saying.
Yeah, it's too many people, in my opinion, just that have gone from looking at a job description and say, "Hey, I think I could do that." I think that looks okay, right? you need to treat your job search just like you would treat a business if you're starting a business. So you need to have, number one, your pitch, right? Your 30-second pitch is very important, right? Your 7-8 second pitch
Yeah,
is very
for
important,
sure.
right? But for the most part, if you're, going in and you're having that networking opportunity, it could be someone literally that you're sitting next to having lunch, that may be the CEO or president of an organization, and they may have overheard you have a conversation about something in regards to business that attracted that person. So what do you say next once that person says to you, hey, I overheard, not to be in your business, but I overheard you saying this. There's something actually my organization is looking further into. Would you like to have a meeting or talk about that?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Right. So that whole first, the one thing I used to love about interviews is that first question. If anybody ever asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself, I guarantee you're going to miss every other question that you have written for me,
Wow.
because I'm going to give you everything in that 10 seconds that you wanted to ask within that next half an hour.
I think it's important when people ask that question that you do land on what you do that adds value. I hear people, I've seen people ask that question. I've set up resume sessions and mock interview sessions, wow, by the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, I'm from the Bronx. No, that's not what they're asking you, right? When they tell you a little bit about yourself,
Absolutely.
right? Oh, I'm from South Philly. No, that's not what they want to hear about. They want to hear about what you do professionally, how you've added value to your current employer or past employer, and the things that you do that make you solve a problem. And I think that's what's really important in that conversation. And often people waste that opportunity by speaking about things that have no impact on the job that they would be looking for that person to do.
I think that's the main word. It's impact, right?
Yeah.
We do this work for the impact that we put on
For
our
sure.
community and our, areas and into people, right? So impact follows empowerment.
I love that you said that, because the Kenneth L. Johnson Show, we build this on career, culture, and community, and that's really what the work is all about, right? I've been hearing a lot of people talk about community, and I'm going to start taking deeper dives in that area, because I think, like you were speaking earlier, you need a community that you're networking with, that is supporting what your goals are. But the important thing is them knowing what it is that you do or want to do. I saw a group. I was looking on LinkedIn one day, and there was a group, and I think they were out of Harlem, actually. But what they were doing is they were taking their friends and getting together for a night of just give a demonstration on what it is that you do. Because a lot of people are really close friends with other people, and they really don't know what they do. They might know who they work for, but they don't know what they do. And that may be your next contract. That may be your next job opportunity, right? If someone just knew, oh, Jamaine does this, and this person is looking for that, then great. But if they just know you work for, what is it, TPEMA? Yeah, if they just know that, they might not even know what that means, right? So yeah, I can appreciate that and what you're saying in that. And I encourage everybody to maybe take a deeper dive into learning a little more about what the people around you actually do for a living. We're going to need it more than ever now. As I had mentioned, 73,000 jobs created last month, and the lowest since, I don't know, what was it, 1979, and a jobs report that we haven't seen since 2020, rated pandemic levels. Things are getting really tight. Employers, hiring managers, companies aren't really excited or running out to hire people, because they don't know how the economy is going to play out for them. So things are a little stagnant now, and we need to be mindful of that, and we need to work together to help people kind of crowdsource for the success of all, right? And that's kind of the work we do here at the Kenneth L. Johnson Show. We're basically crowdsourcing ideas and opportunities by having people like you on just to talk about the work. So if you were telling someone that's looking for opportunities or looking to grow in their career what to do, what suggestion or advice would you give them now?
I'm gonna go off of one of your former taglines.
Talk to me.
Disrupt the process.
Oh, now you remember that disruptive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, one of the things in disrupting the process that I believe, and this is just a life skill that I've brought to myself is changing the perspective, right? The reality of it is that, you know, a lot of people have the stigmas on themselves, like, oh, well, I was just a homemaker, I was just, you know, this, or I was just that, right? But one of the things that, you know, we used to do a professional networking group at CareerLink at Suburban Station, and at the CareerLink, we would have dislocated workers that was in that room, and there was a lot of different wealth of people, right? And one person was a music teacher. She was a music teacher, and she did some things, you know, and just was like, well, I just taught music. I was just in high school or elementary school teacher. What am I going to do with that type of experience? They don't have the funding anymore. I was always funded, and so forth and so on. Well, guess what that end person ended up landing at? The Philadelphia Orchestra.
Oh, that makes complete sense. Yeah, there you go.
Right, making more money than she's ever made, you know, in that role, right? But then we talk about roles, and again, if we talk about workforce is not just about labor or trade, or, you know, workforce goes all the way into the arts as well.
Sure.
You know, so the reality of it is when you think about some of these music programming and, you know, things like that, there's so many different innovative ways of making something into your life, into your passion. So if you have a passion for sewing, guess what? There's a workforce opportunity out there for you to teach other people how to sew it the way you do.
For sure.
So there's different. So again, it brings back that creativeness. Be yourself in the process. Don't try to be, you know, it's like going back to those memories of people saying, you know, your parents or whatever, you know, or anybody just telling you, be yourself. Everybody else is taken for it, right? So in the process, be yourself within the process. Figure out who you are. Master yourself professionally. And you put all of that on paper, and then I guarantee you'll find out who you really are professionally to end up moving into whatever industry that life has aligned for you. And that's how you passionately get into and interrupt the process in regards to looking. Now you're not looking for jobs. Jobs are going to start looking for you.
Yes, and that's always the goal, right? If you can position yourself where the jobs are looking for you. It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5, Philadelphia. Real conversations, career, culture, community. I'm Kenneth L. Johnson. I'm here with my man, Jamaine Jackson, and we're getting ready to wrap up soon. But Jamaine, I want to talk about this real quick. You were speaking about it. You made me think about just that whole disruptive job search presentation I used to do. And a big piece of that was everybody is moving and operating over here. Let me go to Indeed, or let me go to LinkedIn. Let me find a job opportunity. Let me apply for it. Let me sit and wait for somebody to call me. And then they get frustrated. They come to us and say, hey, I've applied to 20 jobs. I've applied to 100 jobs. I haven't heard anything. But they've never taken the opportunity to disrupt that by jumping ahead of the line, right? And I think it's something I forgot about. And I think I'm going to start talking about that a little more, because I want to start speaking about disruption. I want to start speaking about community. But I also want to speak about how we can help one another. So with that being said, how can people get together and make your job a little easier?
Utilize the resources. I mean, so again, I spoke of, you know, free workshops, free services. A lot of people don't know just about the Career Link centers. It's called a one-stop shop for a reason. These 4 centers basically have everything anybody would want to need, anything from trades to workshops. If you want to, you know, touch on your resume, if you want to have, you know, they even do conflict resolution and de-escalating training. They do all of these things within the centers, and it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. They also have different navigators at the centers to help. They have youth navigators where they can literally help any individual between 16 and 24 with not only just summer jobs, but jobs throughout, you know, year round, and internships, apprenticeships. They have all these things that happen. And guess what? The biggest thing is all free. So you can literally keep bouncing back from every situation, everything from, you know, right now we just did a partnership with CVS Workforce Initiatives. We have a pharmacy tech program that's actually coming out of JEVS, Human Services. This is a program where literally in 6 weeks you can end up being in a pharmacy tech program.
I love it.
And you see all the Rite Aids are out right now. All the Rite Aid people are going to CVS.
Yes.
So they're building, right? And it's just those different opportunities. We talk about partnerships. My role, right? My role is bringing other partnerships and bringing other entities. So your network, your ecosystem, and within the Career Links themselves is your full network in itself. So those are the things that I would think I would start with. Since the pandemic, there's been, less foot traffic, but for the most part, the opportunity and the services are there.
I tell you what, give them the website, let them know how to stay connected to you and the work that you do as well.
Yep. So the website is www.pacareerlinkphl.org. And the entities, like I said, is Jevs Human Services. So www.jevs.com. You have Eckerd, you have also Impact, and then also Esperanza in our north site. So any of those sites, for the most part, or just PA Career Link website will give you all those services as well.
Well, thank you for coming through to the Kenneth L. Johnson Show. Jamaine Jackson, not just a workforce titan here in the city of Philadelphia, but a friend. Thank you for coming through, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show on WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5. Thank you all for joining us today. Look, we're going to do it again next Monday. We're on the roll right now, so excited to have the lineup of people that we've had so far. If you want to see Nicole Smith, Minda Harts, Lisa Rangel, and now Jamaine Jackson, run over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, watch, and learn. And please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5 FM, Philadelphia.